Ladies and gentlemen, we are going to continue our show right now with a wonderful, multi-talented writer. Will you please welcome Libbe HaLevy.
You mean I'm not a close personal friend?
I'm his only friend. Yeah.
We're Facebook friends, so Dan knows what I post about. I sometimes think that the people who remain friends with me on Facebook and don't block my posts are some of the bravest people on the face of the planet. Yeah, now I know who my fans are. Yeah, it's I'm either posting about incest recovery or nuclear disasters. And this is going to be a little bit about the latter. I've shared in here before that I was 1 mile from 3 Mile Island when it happened. And that kind of kicked me sideways out of the life that I was living. And I didn't realize how far out of alignment I was until Fukushima happened and kind of kicked me back into the activist mentality that I had carried for the years before that. And I got pretty obsessed about the topic and was sleeping with my computer next to me and checking it in the middle of the night to see the information. And started developing some routines of checking around, just poking to see what information I could find that was out there. And I found something very interesting. Do you know where the worst nuclear disaster on American soil happened?
Studio City.
No, where did it happen? Thank you, Gary. You would think that it was 3 Mile Island, but it wasn't. It happened in Simi Valley.
Oh, yeah.
Really. Santa Susana Field Lab, operated by Rocketdyne, 1959. An experimental nuclear reactor, just a little bitty neighborhood nuclear reactor, just a little guy. They were testing a new cooling system on it with salt, and it didn't work. And it melted down. Now, this wouldn't have been so bad if there had been a containment structure around it. But back then, there were no containment structures. This was in an industrial building, like a metal building with nothing padding it. So the radiation that was generated just went out. But of course, there was no panic, there was no difficulty, there were no big headlines about this because Rocketdyne lied, and so did the NRC, and said, there was a little problem down at the end plant, no big deal, we took care of it, no problem. And it remained buried there. I mean, not the nuclear stuff, the information about it. And this remained that way for 20 years until a man named Dan Hirsch, who is a professor of nuclear policy up at UC Santa Cruz. His students got curious about what had happened at Rocketdyne, Santa Susana, and wanted to do some research. And it turns out the man who was either head of the nuclear plant or something had left there and had become a professor at UCLA. And just brought boxes and boxes and boxes of old files with him and gave them to UCLA, where they had sat for 20 years. So these students went in and they found all the evidence that yes, there was a meltdown, yes, there was a radiation plume, yes, it was still radioactive, it had not been cleaned up. And it remains radioactive to this day, 52 years later. This happened in 1959. 52 years later, they're still meeting to try and clean that thing up. There are quarterly meetings by the scientists to see what they can do. Meanwhile, nothing has been done for the people who were downwind of that. There was never an epidemiological study that was done, no information at all. But it's interesting the anecdotal information that has been coming forward. I have to say that taking in all this information, being as obsessed as I was, when I went to my Sequoia trip this year, it was basically to kind of like cool out and go, okay, what am I going to do with all of this? And in the middle of a meditation, it was like somebody said it in my ear, you're going to do your first podcast this Tuesday. And I went, excuse me, what? You're going to do your first podcast this Tuesday. Really? And I went, okay, I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm going to do it. And the following Tuesday, I announced on Facebook, very shortly before I was going to do it, that I was going to have a podcast called Nuclear Hot Seat. And people were welcome to join me. And people joined me. And I said, I don't know what this is, but this is some of the stuff I've been learning. Is anybody interested? People were interested. I now podcast every Tuesday at 4 p.m. You can get the information on Facebook by checking out Nuclear Hot Seat. And it's a group that I have connected with my name, and I'm posting all the information that I am getting. And not all the information, God knows, you couldn't stand it. But a lot of the information. And what is revealing itself is a level of duplicity that threatens each and every one of us. I said to somebody recently, you know, I can walk into any room and be the buzzkill. And she said, you don't realize, Libbe, there comes a point where the buzzkill becomes the buzz. And so I'm putting this information out because I am now dedicated as a citizen activist to getting this information out. And because of the platform I've had the opportunity on my program already to interview Dan Hirsch, who is the head of Committee to Bridge the Gap. He's somebody who shows up on all the national things. He testifies before Congress. I have had Dr. Sheldon Plotkin, who is a systems engineer and a 50-plus year activist on nuclear matters. If you want really clean food, buy it from Eden Foods. I interviewed their vice president in charge of purchasing yesterday, and they are going to enormous expense to make certain that everything they bring in from Japan, they do a lot of macrobiotic foods, they are testing at a higher level than the government. Even the government people said, wow, you've got better equipment than we do. So I'm getting a chance to do this, and in actually less than 2 weeks, I'm going up to San Francisco for a statewide conference on nuclear activism to make California a nuclear-free state. And this invitation to me came right on the heels of, God bless him, Jerry Brown, on Sunday at an alternative energy conference that took place in Los Angeles, saying basically that he's going to wage war in order to be able to promote alternative energy in the state of California. That he's going to fight anyone and anything that comes in the way of us going into alternative energy here. So I feel like I'm taking my place, I'm getting information out, and people are coming to me with their own information. I can't tell you that I've been given connections to pipe fitters who put the pipes in at San Onofre and up at Diablo Canyon. I have had people who are connected, I don't even want to say where or how, but who have information that has high security clearance where they feel the need to get this information out. If I don't get independent confirmation, I can't put the information out, but I do. I'm on the different sites, I'm pulling in the information. I've had direct interchange with Dr. Helen Caldecott through her site because I had some information she didn't. So what I'm saying is, if any of you have any information at all and can give it to me or can connect me with people, I am open to that because this is now, you know, I feel like for everything that I've gone through in my life, it's been to get me ready for this. For the podcast, for the information, for the showbiz connection to it, for the one-person show and the character I am creating. Everything in my life has been to put this together, to be able to give us a chance to turn this around. Because there's a monstrous history that has been hidden from the people in the United States as to what's been happening on a nuclear thing for the last 60 years. It needs to be changed because we can't wait. I'm going to be part of that change, and I invite each and every one of you in your own way to join with me. Come to my Facebook page, friend me. You can check out Nuclear Hot Seat, and if you want the information on Santa Susana, go to YouTube, and all you have to put in for search is Simi and nuclear. And it will come up. It's an 8.5-minute video that was put together and was broadcast on the History Channel. So it's legitimate stuff. And more will be revealed. Stay safe, stay healthy. This has been your wake-up call. Don't go back to sleep.